Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back. It's your boy Armored Silk. Thanks for joining again. We had a stream earlier in the day, pretty early, 7 a.m. Had a good turnout. We got some videos looked at and reacted to. Of course, it was Mr. Donald J. Trump, the president at the moment, obviously. But today we're going to get into a couple things. So the first video we're going to watch is going to be 16 Iranians get arrested in the US, right? Which is hilarious. And then we're following that by President Trump is going to meet with Iranians next week. So it's like, we'll arrest you and then we'll talk to you, right? Kind of thing. So yeah, that's going to be the videos for today. So let's get into it, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, we want, open dialogue, different people's perspectives. So, pretty open-minded and like to hear different dialogues. So yeah, let's get into it.
All right, ICE arresting 16 Iranian nationals since Sunday across 11 states, including one who is accused of serving as a sniper for the Iranian army.
And two men accused of trying to assassinate President Trump on behalf of Iran appeared in court yesterday ahead of their trials. Both are charged with murder for hire.
Former DHS Secretary
That
Jay
is
Johnson
not a good start
joins
to
us
the
now.
video. This is not how I was expecting it to go,
Mr.
actually.
Secretary, thanks so much for joining the program. This is just
It's
another
pretty hot out today.
account
Sorry about
of
that.
failed Biden border policies that we have to deal with right now, right?
I put it this way, Lawrence. The presence in this country of undocumented migrants or Iranian nationals who have links to Hezbollah, IRGC, is, in my judgment, a domestic law enforcement concern of the highest magnitude. I hope and expect
especially if they have
that
military
the
or
FBI,
intelligence training
are laser focused on this right now. There've been the 16 arrests in the last couple of days, but that's not necessarily all of them. My educated speculation is that law enforcement has been tracking these individuals for a while in this country to follow leads, to see who they
that makes
are
sense
in
why they're
contact
arresting them
with.
now, especially after
But
we've
I'm glad to
hit.
see
You want to pick them up as quickly as possible. So I get that. That makes sense.
these 16 off the streets.
Talk about the work that goes into finding these individuals, because there are people here on
It's
the
a lot of
terror
work.
watch list. How do they go about finding them? Because some
Especially
of
if
these were
agencies don't
found in
communicate
all
with one
over the
another.
United States: Alabama, Mississippi, Missouri, Texas, New York,
Honestly.
Maryland, Colorado, California, Arizona.
Yeah, some of these places I would have never guessed. Mississippi being one of them. Not saying anything's wrong with Mississippi, but yeah, just would not expect that at all.
Well, if the process is working the way it should, this should be an international cooperative effort. I can't tell you the number of times we got a tip from a foreign intelligence agency about someone in another hemisphere trying to make their way to this hemisphere that were interdicted long before they could reach U.S. soil. Our law enforcement capability is really impressive, and we need to stay focused on this. And my overall message to those who are listening is our law enforcement capability, our counterterrorism capability in this country is first rate.
Bar none.
Our government should lay out all the things that they are doing to protect the American people. But the public, as we approach a holiday week, the public should not be discouraged going to public events. And the public has a role to play too. If you see something, say something is still a valid public safety tool, and it does make a difference.
I love the fact that the FBI
when valid,
moved
right?
on Iranian
Not because your
illegals
neighbor
here because
parked in
of
your
the sleeper
lawn or
cell
something,
worry.
but
And that president evidently was
actual
told at
crimes
the
and
G7
stuff, right?
from some
Or
of our
potential
allies
crimes,
that look out the
suspicious
sleeper cells
crimes.
that are ready to be activated here in the U.S. and it's got to be a
And
concern.
sleepers don't necessarily follow the direction from their sponsors. Somebody who's here in the United States who has
Of course,
links
they have
to
handlers.
the IRGC, to Hezbollah, may decide to take matters into their own hands.
So, Mr. Secretary, I want to get your comments on this.
Again, which is
this
probably why
vice mayor,
they were arrested
what's
as
that
quickly as
city
It's
possible.
called Cudahy. It's in
Cudahy.
California.
Her name is Cynthia Gonzalez. This is what she posted on social media as she got a knock on the door from the FBI. Watch.
Are all about
This should be interesting.
territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Cortez. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you. It's everyone else who's not about the gang life that's out there protesting and speaking up. We're out there like fighting our turf, protecting our turf, protecting our people. And
She
like, where
probably
you
fought
at?
a day in her life,
Doing the
bro. Yeah. I swear, bro. If California wasn't such a beautiful place, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Gangs to get ready to take on ICE.
Yeah. That comment is inappropriate, whether you're the vice mayor of her city or LA or New York or Poughkeepsie, New York. That's an inappropriate comment. And let me
Doesn't
let
even
me add
make
this.
sense,
What I
honestly.
used to tell people at ICE when I was secretary, Tom Homan included, was when you're out on the streets doing your job, use common sense, because
Unfortunately,
one
common sense isn't so
notorious
common, right?
incident, can turbocharge a sanctuary city movement.
It truly
like
is a
we're seeing
virtue
right
in
now
itself.
across the country. The ideal situation is where local law enforcement is working effectively with ICE to find these people in pretrial detention, find these people as their sentences end and they're about to be released, put detainers on them, and deport the criminals. And
They're
to
not
do that,
cooperating now, Mr. Secretary. Back then, you actually deported more people.
3 million.
they're not cooperating, and that's
they
a
didn't
problem.
show up the way that they show up now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doxing these agents. They're surrounding them. I can just imagine what would you do in this situation when your cops were?
I'm not gonna
surrounded?
lie.
In sanctuaries.
I'm surprised. It would be ICE picking up the Iranians. Not saying that they shouldn't, right? I know they should. I just would have figured it'd probably be something more along the lines of FBI, maybe a joint task force, as some of them actually had military training. I believe they said one of them was a sniper for the IRG, which is the Iranian Guard. So that is a little surprising. But yeah, hey, as long as it gets done right.
Cities.
I personally would talk to the mayor of New York, the mayor of Philadelphia, and the mayor of dozens of other cities to say, you have to work with us. Don't wait for there to be a tragic incident in your city before you decide you need to work with ICE. Let's
Be
make
proactive,
this
not
relationship
reactive.
work now.
Being
So
reactive never
DHS
has worked for us.
Commented on that video. She
Always
did end
turns
up
out
taking
bad.
that video down. The comments made by the vice mayor of Cudahy, California, Cynthia Gonzalez, are
Oh,
despicable.
wow. I didn't-
This kind of garbage has
I didn't know she was a vice mayor. I thought they were talking about someone else. Yeah, this is how dumb do you have to be? You are literally an elected official talking about gangs showing up to fight ICE. Like, that is. I know they've lost the plot, but god damn, man, that's bad.
has led to a more than 500% increase in assaults against our ICE law enforcement officers. And then the city of Cudahy released this statement. The comments made by the vice mayor reflect her personal views and do not represent the views or official position of the city of Cudahy. The city will be providing no further comment. What
I'd be
law
surprised
enforcement
if they
do?
don't,
They went to her house. They're
hold a
investigating.
special election.
What should happen?
Well, first of all, when you're a vice mayor of a city, or when you're Secretary of Homeland Security or any other public position, you have very little space for your personal views hearing publicly. She said it, and it was not a good comment.
Yeah, because not only does it have put yourself in a bad position, but it also puts everyone else in your office. It makes them look bad, and when you're the vice mayor at that, not even like the mayor, you're shooting yourself and the office in the foot, or whoever the person is in office. So, yeah, idiotic.
And I would counsel.
Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. Yep.
You want from Ann?
Just Philly steak.
Just steak and cheese?
yeah.
And steak and cheese, that's it?
Yep, yep, yep.
Like I get it?
Yeah.
What kind of cheese?
No cheese.
Oh, no
yeah,
cheese.
I can't anymore.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
cool. All right.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Hey, anything? I gotta go to food line. I gotta get milk. I got an ABC store. I got a couple things. Anything from food line? Small. Anything?
Chips maybe. That's it.
All right. It?
That's it. Yep, yep. Thank you, thank you. Sorry about that, guys. All right, yeah, let's get back to it.
Our immigration enforcement personnel, when they're out in the streets doing their job, looking for undocumented, specifically the criminals, to use common sense in these communities, which are very often blue communities that start off from a position where they don't want to work with ICE. My advice is you have to use your common sense.
Mr. Secretary, you've been on this couch. You've been very upset about what's happening on the border. You've also been complimentary. Have you?
And I will say this, right? And this is not me personally, but if you don't want to work with law enforcement, I'm not just talking about ICE, just law enforcement in general, right? You have the right to remain silent, all that. I understand that. I have nothing against it, but never make it to the point where you're putting law enforcement in jeopardy, because it never, for one, it's not going to end well in your favor 9 times out of 10. I get that people are not just black people, right? I'm talking about people in general. I know a lot of white guys, prior military, that sometimes they're just not wanting to be around law enforcement. I get it. It's your right. But like I said, never put them in harm's way or make things even more untenable than they should be.
Ever in your life heard about numbers as low as we've been hearing since President Trump took over?
No.
And do you believe he deserves credit for that and the Tom Homan team?
The numbers now are something like, last time I looked, 12,000 a month. The prior administration sometimes saw that in the day.
That's so much.
If President Trump said,
Wait, they
"I've
did that.
secured the border," that would be a
more
legitimate statement to make.
in the previous
because
years.
the numbers now are the lowest in recorded history. Now, let me take that a step further.
Real quick.
I think this president has an opportunity, looking at him in the face right now, and a lot of people won't want to hear this, comprehensive immigration reform. Just like, a Nixon goes to China moment, or a Reagan discusses with the Soviet Union arms control. He is in a position to bring along a lot of Republicans and Democrats at some point before the midterms at an effort at comprehensive.
See, this is the one thing I hate about politicians, and I get it's part for the course, but bro, I stop talking about the midterm elections or just elections in general, because to me that shows like politicians don't actually care, or high bureaucrats don't care about the people, and rather than they'd want what they can get from people before certain times. Like that shit pisses me off so much. So yeah, didn't like that he said that, but let's keep going. Like I said, I'm rational. I understand that happens, but doesn't mean I have to like it.
Immigration reform to fix
We'll have
the
you
broken
back to
system.
talk about that.
Yeah,
Mr.
and he should
Secretary.
call you because I know Tom Homan also.
Which, for one, I think that's why President Trump won, right? The last time in 2016 and then now, because people actually like the fact that he does what he says, and you can't get that from, let alone presidents, but even most politicians. So
it's great respect for you. Thanks
you
a lot,
so
Mr.
much,
Secretary.
Secretary.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley.
So that was the first video, right? And then the second one's going to be, this one's kind of a long one, so we'll see how it goes. But this one's going to be President Trump going to, or planning to go to Iran next week and meeting with, I take that back. I don't actually know if he's going to Iran. I really hope not, but I know he's supposed to be meeting with the Iranians, so I stand corrected on that.
Fairly long trip, but worth it.
Turn this up.
Tremendous things
Oh,
have
there
been
we go.
accomplished, as you probably noticed. Listened to a lot of wonderful speeches from the heads of a lot of wonderful countries. But I want to thank you for joining us at the conclusion of a highly productive NATO summit in the Netherlands.
And this was from their
I wanna
NATO
thank them for the
summit, like you said, right?
Royal treatment they've given us couldn't have been nicer. And it's a beautiful country, really a beautiful country. Coming in, I saw the most beautiful trees. In fact, I want to bring some back with me. I want to also thank, I had breakfast this morning with the King and Queen and their incredible people. I said, you're central casting. Beautiful people, great people, big, beautiful heart. And I enjoyed that. And also NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who's been terrific. He's been a friend of mine, used to be right here running this wonderful country. Now he's the NATO Secretary General. He's doing a fantastic job. And the Prime Minister, we appreciate everything you've done. And as you know, last weekend, the United States successfully carried out a massive precision strike on Iran's nuclear.
Sorry, guys. I was just trying to see where
enrichment
NATO was
facilities,
this
and it was
year.
Very,
At the
very
Hague, so in the
successful. It
Netherlands.
was called
Okay.
obliteration. No other military on earth could have done it. And now this incredible exercise of American strength has paved the way for peace.
Right. Before we continue, right? I get people say that we are strong military-wise, and we are, right? I don't think people realize how strong we actually are. I'll put it in this perspective, right? During World War II, we spent about 40% of our GDP on the war. We're not even spending, I don't even think it's more than 8%. So if people are afraid of us now with only 8%, imagine how bad we would destroy the world military-wise. I'm not even talking about nukes, just in general, right? If we actually went to 40 or 50, and possibly even 60%. But yeah, let's carry on.
With a historic ceasefire agreement late Monday, and we call it the 12-day war. Spoke to a few people. I guess that
Go ahead in the
sounded like
comments,
the right-
people. like to
the
hear
right
people's
name. It was a
reactions
12-day
and
war.
opinions. So
And we
feel
think
free
it's
to
over. I don't think they're going to be going
put something
back
in the
at
chat.
each other. I don't think so. Not only have we dealt decisively with the critical threat of Iran's nuclear program, which was what I wanted. I said, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've said that for 15 years, long before I decided to do the political thing. But we've also reasserted the credibility of American deterrence, which is like no other. The people at NATO said there's never been anything. You know, I rebuilt the entire military during my first term. And we have a great military.
To some degree, yeah, true.
I got to know the good ones and the
We
bad
did upgrade on
ones.
a lot of
We
stuff.
kept the good
I was
ones.
in during.
Over the past
I was in the Marine Corps during his his last 2 years. 16, I got out 18, yeah. So in the last first 2 years of his term, I was still in the Marine Corps. So
2 days, I was honored to participate in the NATO leaders meeting, and also had extremely good individual discussions with the King and the Queen, Secretary General Rutte, and the Prime Minister. Great discussions. Very knowledgeable people. Major focus of our conversations at the summit was the need for other NATO members to take up the burden of the defense of Europe, and that included the financial burden. As you know, it was 2%.
which is
And we got
another
it up to
thing.
5%, and they said a couple of them came up to me.
Another thing that I'm so glad that he did, because even when I was in the Marine Corps, obviously I kept it private or within close friends, but I hated the fact that we essentially were paying for NATO. I mean, we paid everything. Yeah, it was almost laughable to think that any of the other countries had any real say so, because they put in nothing. I mean, nearly nothing, right? So for a long time, me personally, I would have rather just been out of NATO completely and then watch them crawl back to us and be like, hey, we need you, we'll put in our fair share, which is essentially what President Trump did. So 100% glad that he did that, and as we know, the outcome ended up better for us as a nation. Less for us to pay, and people paying, or other countries paying their fair share.
One in particular said, sir, we've been trying to get it up to 3% for 20 years, and we haven't been able, and you got it up to 5%. So they're going to be, most of them, I guess almost all of them, are going to be contributing now 5%, a number that people are surprised at, but you need it today. The United States accounts for 2/3 of all NATO defense spending. And since I began pushing for additional commitments in 2017, believe it or not, our allies have increased spending by $700 billion.
Yeah, I know
said to
Germany
people,
was
you
very
don't
big
have any
on,
money, and a lot of them weren't
especially
paying.
after Ukraine, Russian war started. I know they really started putting money into their defense in Germany.
And so I started the process, and I picked it up as soon as I got back, which is 6 months ago. And following my election last November, almost all have accelerated plans to reach the 2%, 3%, 4%, and then ultimately, very quickly, 5%. And all of this is going to be done very quickly, almost immediately. You probably know this as well as I do. I'm sure they've been talking about it. It's really been a big focus. In a very historic milestone this week, the NATO allies committed to dramatically increase their defense.
Well, that's annoying. I don't know why they put NATO backwards underneath. It's a pet peeve of mine. Anyways,
to that 5% of GDP, something that no one really thought possible. And they said, "You did it, sir, you did it." Well, I don't know if I did it, but I think I did. This will be known as the Hague Defense Commitment, which is pretty good, pretty appropriate.
Don't trust
when
what
the Allies
specifically.
Reach, this number, it will add
Just
more
in
than
general,
$1
do you
trillion
mean, or is there
a
anything
year.
specific you mean
Think
there?
of that, $1 trillion per year to our common defense, and this is a monument, really, to victory. But it's a monumental win for the United States, because we were carrying much more than our fair share. It was quite unfair, actually.
We were
But
carrying
this is a
the
big
thing,
win for
period.
Europe and for actually Western civilization.
Oh, is
For
it?
years,
Okay.
past
Huh. Well, that's something
administrations
new.
failed to get
I'm
most
still going to
allies to
verify,
contribute,
check that, but
even the 2%. I remember when I came here, we had 4 countries that were up to 2%, and I remember Poland was there. A couple of them were there, and but most of them were. We had 28
Very well.
at the time.
Learned
As you know,
something
it's
new.
Increased a little bit.
Thank you,
And,
Arthur. I
they've
definitely
agreed
appreciate
now
that.
to more than double their budgets in all cases. And Europe stepping up to take more responsibility for its security will help prevent future disasters like the horrible situation with Russia and Ukraine, and hopefully we're going to get that solved. Last week they lost 7,000 soldiers, mostly soldiers, but they're also getting hit in Kiev. They're getting hit in some of the towns also. And that means life. Life is disappearing also in the cities and towns. Should have never happened, would have never happened if I was president. I said it 1,000 times, and it never did happen. It's never even thought about. But it's vital that this additional money be spent on very serious military hardware,
yeah.
not bureaucracy. And
So I will say this. I'm not going to say never, but yeah, there would probably been like a very unlikelihood of Russia attacking Ukraine. So I think overall I probably agree with that.
Hopefully that hardware is going to be made in America, because we have the best hardware in the world. You saw that, where 14 missiles were shot at us the other day. And they were very nice. They gave us warning. They said, "We're going to shoot them. Is 1 o'clock okay?" They said, "It's fine." And everybody was emptied off the base, so they couldn't get hurt except for the gunners. They call them the gunners. And out of 14 high-end missiles that were shot at the base in Qatar, all 14, as you know, were shot down by our equipment. Amazing stuff. Amazing.
Was
They
all
can do- it's
14?
like
Oh,
shooting a bullet.
I could have sworn
with a bullet.
one.
It's the same thing if you think
One
about
hit.
it. 14 out of 14, and they weren't
be
even
wrong.
that
I'll have to
surprised. I
double
said,
check,
"Did
but
you do that
maybe I'm
well
wrong.
often?" They say, "We pretty much do, sir." The Ukraine crisis has also highlighted the urgency of rebuilding our defense industrial base, both in the United States and among the allied nations. We cannot afford to be dependent on foreign adversaries for critical
not.
minerals. And as you know, we made a deal with Ukraine to take a vast amount of the land they have for minerals. We need it.
This is a
And
deal
once
that
again, I
I'm
want to thank
100%
both the
looking
people in the
forward to.
Netherlands, incredible people. It's a great place. And all of the NATO allies for the
Buying
tremendous
in
summit
advance our
that
future.
we just had. A letter just came in, and a statement came in from the Atomic Energy Commission of Israel. And I just wondered, this is an official letter, and they're very serious people, as you know. The devastating U.S. strike on Fordo destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility totally inoperable. It was devastated. We assess that the American strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities has set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons for many years to come.
So I did talk about this earlier in my video from this morning. I know people are saying that the base or that the facility didn't get destroyed. Me personally, until we get some sort of boots on the ground or eyes on, showing officially that we know it's destroyed. I'm not saying that it isn't destroyed. I'm on the side of it most likely is, but I'd like to get proof or verification, right? Because at the end of the day, a bunker buster will destroy everything from top down, right? So everything in itself, just from rocks, earth position, everything's collapsing on top of one another. So me personally, I'm saying it's most likely that it happened, but I'd always like to get, eyes and actual verification. Trust but verify, right?
This achievement can continue indefinitely if Iran does not get access to nuclear material, which it won't. It's so sad that whole thing had to go. But I just want to thank our pilots. They were maligned and treated very bad, demeaned by fake news CNN, which is back there, believe it or not, wasting time, wasting it. Nobody's watching them, so they're just wasting a lot of time, wasting my time.
Even though he says it every day or every other day, it's still funny.
Bad. Well, it was so bad that they ended the war. It ended the war. Somebody said in a certain way that it was so devastating, actually. If you look at Hiroshima, if you look at Nagasaki, that ended a war too. This ended a war in a different way, but it was so devastating. Also, they have out of Dubai just came that Iran's foreign ministry spokesman, this is Iran's foreign ministry, says its nuclear installations were very badly damaged by the American strike. So what bothered me about these reports,
multiple sources, so it wasn't just us saying it, it's that other governments and other news outlets are somewhat verifying it. But I'd always like to get eyes on, like I said.
And by fake news, CNN and MSDNC, all of these terrible people, they have no credibility. When I started, there were 94% credibility in the media. Now it's at 16%. And I'm very proud of it because I've exposed it for what it is. But when I saw them starting to question the caliber of the attack, was it bad? Well, it was really bad. It was devastating. They obliterated.
Wow.
In fact, you can't get into the tunnels. They just put that over. That just came out. They can't. There's nothing. There's no way you can even get down. The whole thing is collapsed in a disaster. And I think all of the nuclear stuff is down there because it's very hard to remove. And we did it very quickly. When they heard we were coming, it was, you can't move it. Very hard, very dangerous, actually, to move to. And they also knew we were coming, so I don't think too many people want to be down there knowing we're coming with the bunker busters, as we call them. We're the only ones that have them. We have the best equipment, best nuclear equipment, and we have the best equipment in the world. And by the way, we can't forget our submarine, which was out there, submarines, actually, but submarine was out there. We shot...
Yeah, because they did shoot as well.
Rockets into
because they shot roughly 25 minutes prior. Yeah, because I believe the submarine class shot 25 minutes prior to the B-2s and the fighter jets arriving, and they did a simultaneous attack. So
400 miles away, I think, Pete, right? 400 and long. It was in the ocean, long ways away. And we shot a total of 30.
Soren Wright, hey, thanks for joining.
One of them hit within 9 inches from where it was supposed to be. It took it a lot because we didn't do just Fordo. We did 2 others in addition, which hadn't been completely destroyed. So we hit them with a submarine from hundreds of miles away. Amazing, just amazing equipment. Greatest submarines in the world. Nobody's even close. They're 20 years behind us when it comes to submarine technology.
Yeah, just when it comes to equipment in general, most countries aren't even close. I've literally watched us sell fighter jets to the Saudis. Obviously, we don't give them all the tech and equipment, but the overall jet itself, people are buying it from us. So obviously, we've got the best gear, best equipment.
So that's one, and the other was from the Atomic Energy Commission, and they have about 3 or 4 of them now coming in from atomic energy commissions from various places. But the one that we have that just came out, we released it a little while ago, was from the Israeli Atomic Energy Commission, but numerous of them are getting to see the site, and the site has been demolished. And again, we had these brave patriots, these incredible flyers, these people that can fly a plane better than anybody can fly a plane, going into very hostile territory, flying into the territory that has got more missiles and things pointed at it, but it was very stealth. They didn't get to see it. It was dark. That's the amazing thing about the shots. They hit the shots perfectly, and yet it was dead dark. There was no moon. There was no light. It was virtually moonless. It was very dark, and they hit the
12-5.
shots
Thanks
we
for
hit
joining.
perfectly. But when they get demeaned, and they were
Shout
very
out to
upset
Pittsburgh.
about it because they knew how strong it would be. Back in Missouri, the pilots flew about 36 hours.
JU,
two
thanks
ways,
for joining.
Far distance, and
Sure,
those incredible
that
B-2s.
I
And
guess
we
that's
then
how
had the
a
F-22s,
lot of people
and we
feel,
had the
but
F-35s, and we had other planes.
he is
and
getting
we had,
things done.
I think
So
a total of 52 tankers. That means the big tankers, because the refueling was a lot for all of the different planes that we sent. Incredible operation, and I have to say, General Raisin Kane was incredible. That's why he beat ISIS, and we beat ISIS in a matter of weeks. I was told it would take 4 to 5 years. We did it in a few weeks, and he was great. That's why he's the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff right now, because I had a very good experience with him. He knocked out ISIS in a period of literally a few weeks. Amazing. And we're supposed to.
I will say this, right? Another thing. I know the military in the more recent years has gone political. I'm not a fan of that. At the end of the day, the military is there to defend the country, regardless of politics. So definitely glad it's getting back to its track. Especially me being a vet, right? That means a lot. Because how we were going was, I was not liking it. Too much politics and not enough war fighting and training.
To take a few years, 5 years to be exact. So we had a great victory there, and we then came here, and I think we had a great victory here. But this is an ongoing project. This is the safety of Europe, the safety of the world. And they've raised it from 2% to 5%, something which nobody, and you're talking about over $1 trillion a year. So we're talking about a lot of money from coming in from countries that we're not paying nearly enough to be effective. So I have, as you know, Marco Rubio with me, and Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State and Secretary of War. Should we say Secretary? You know, it used to be called Secretary of War. Maybe for a couple of weeks we'll call it that.
Nick,
because we
thanks
feel
for
like
joining.
warriors. Used to be called Secretary
Appreciate
of
your
War.
watch.
In fact, if you look at
Appreciate
the
you
old
watching.
building next to the White House, you can see where it used to be Secretary of War. Then we became politically correct, and they called it Secretary of Defense. I don't know, maybe we'll have to start thinking about changing it, but we feel that way. Do we have any questions?
100%.
Wow.
You missed it earlier. That's what I was saying. I was saying NATO has to, when I was in, and they weren't paying their fair share. I was in from like 2010 to like the latter of the 2010s. I wanted to get out of NATO. I think it was a waste. We're essentially just paying for another military where we could have put more funding in it ourselves and gotten things done a lot better. But yeah, glad that they're finally paying up and doing their part. Now we can feel a little bit more better about our tax money going over to NATO. Yeah, absolutely. Make America great. Always make it great, and let's keep it great.
That's a lot of questions.
All right, hold up. Let me put the subtitles on so we can see what the questions are.
A nice
Because sometimes I can't hear them.
Person, but I'll let you ask one. Go ahead. What's he going to ask? He is not nice at all. I know him well.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time before flying home.
I'm going to guess
you just
CNN.
said you believe the conflict between Israel and Iran is over. What makes you so confident it is? And what do you do if it isn't?
Because I dealt with both, and they're both tired, exhausted. They
Out of
fought
weapons.
very, very hard and very viciously.
I mean,
very
you don't have
violently.
weapons, it's kind of difficult to fight,
and they
right?
were both satisfied to go home and get out. And can it start again? I guess someday it can. It could maybe start soon. I think a big telltale sign.
Joel
was
Brown,
when,
absolutely.
as you
Wouldn't that
know,
be something if
Iran
Congress
somewhat,
actually
by not much,
repelled the two-term limit, right? If they let it go to 3, that'd be fantastic.
Violated the ceasefire, and Israel had the planes going out that morning, and there were a lot of them, 52 of them.
Oh,
And I
100%.
said, you got to get them back, and they brought them.
And you know the crazy part about Canada possibly being I mean, obviously not possibly, because I don't think they'd ever go for it. But if they were, right, just the entire North America would be pretty much the U.S. And wouldn't that be a scary thought with what we already have right now?
Back. They didn't do anything. They brought them back. It was very good. I thought it was amazing, actually. They have fought a hell of a war. They fought very hard. I think the war ended
Brian, no, I don't think so. They can barely help themselves at the moment, right? It's become very difficult for Russia to maintain their own. Don't get me wrong, like, I'm not saying Russia's losing the Ukrainian war by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's taken them a lot longer than expected. And the thing with Russia, when they do these kinds of wars and they stretch them out, long term, they'll win, but it just puts a strain on their economy, their weaponry, their civilian population. So I don't think Russia is going to help Iran. I don't even think they're in a position to be able to. That's why we haven't really heard anything from Russia, from China in terms of the Iran, especially when Iran can't even help themselves. I mean, when you lose your own air defense systems, and I mean, like, why would a country put any money into something that's already a losing battle? Yeah. So, Joel Brown, exactly right. Essentially, I guess Putin said Iran's on their own. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah.
actually when we hit the various nuclear sites with the planes. And I just hope you people can give these pilots, these are the best pilots in the world. They're the best shots in the world. They call them shots. That's what they are. And wait a minute. And I just hope you can give them the respect they deserve, because they came home to fake news. And like, oh, gee, there was hardly any
Jack,
damage.
probably
Things are
not.
decimated. So, but I think they're very much finished. I think Israel's going to get back to doing what they do, and I think that Iran's going to
Not
get
even
back.
close.
You know, Iran has a huge advantage. They have great oil, and they can do things. I don't see them getting back involved in the nuclear business anymore. I think they've had it. They've been at it for 20 years, and I don't see that happening.
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I will later tonight, or maybe even tomorrow. I'll do it live if possible.
About it. Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, fake news, CNN? Oh, yeah, here we go. Wait till you hear this question.
Connie Adams, thanks for joining. Yeah, definitely going, definitely with the president. Maybe not the kiss part, but right there with you,
I
right?
should really say how great
I think that's reserved
our
for the
soldiers
ladies.
and our warriors are.
I think everyone appreciates our soldiers and our warriors. I do have two questions for you, Mr. President. You just cited Israeli intelligence on these attacks. Earlier, you said U.S. intelligence
Jack,
was
yeah,
inconclusive.
exactly.
Are you relying on Israeli intelligence for your assessment of the impact of the strikes?
No, this is
He
also
said it
Iran
earlier.
made the statement.
He said
And it's
multiple
also, if
sources.
you
It
read
wasn't
the
just Israel.
document
So,
that was given-
see, this is the thing I hate about these reporters. They don't listen. He literally said from multiple nuclear international organizations, right? Like he did say Israel, but then he also said Iran's own people, and then he said who was it? I believe he said Germany earlier. So like they're not even paying attention to the statements he's making. They're just saying whatever they want to say. They want to get their 10 seconds of fame in. But yeah, definitely reporters are kind of lackluster in their trade nowadays.
That Pete can talk about if you'd like. The document said it could be very severe damage, but they didn't take that. They said it could be limited or it could be very severe. They really didn't know, other than
Gav,
to say
unscripted.
it could
Thanks,
be
brother,
limited
for
or it
joining.
could be very, very severe. And
hey,
you didn't
keep
choose
up
to
the
put
good
that
work over there in
because
Israel,
it was
brother.
very early after. Since then, we've collected additional intelligence. We've also spoken to people who have seen the site, and the site,
And hello back
site
from
is
America.
obliterated. And we think everything nuclear is down there. They didn't take it out. Okay, question? Please, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, blue dress.
Thank you so much, Mr.
So, Chamberlain, again, thanks for joining. I will say this, right? At the end of the day, every American, as long as the president is in power legally, should be supporting him or trying to help America, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're not with the person that's in charge, you're only going to make things worse. Now, I'm not saying you have to agree with him. I'm not saying you have to vote for him. I'm not saying you have to like him. But if he's already in office, you trying to fight against him does nothing, doesn't help anyone. So at the end of the day, it's like all you're doing is dividing the country even more. Like I said, I'm not saying don't criticize or don't say what you got to say if you see something wrong. But at the end of the day, you want your leader to succeed, because if he succeed, we succeed. So that's just my 2 cents on that. So in that sense, yeah, absolutely, I support the president. Why wouldn't I?
Mr. President, yesterday you said China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran.
Yeah.
Are you
Dean Williamson,
giving up
thank you,
on
brother.
your
I appreciate
maximum
that. It means a
pressure
lot.
campaign? Because
With
there's
who?
sanctions right now
With who?
on Iran.
No, look, they just had a war. The war was fought.
Sorry, Nick, real quick. So it was about 80 meters down, and they used the bunker busters. Actually, they used ballistic missiles first to soften it up. Then they used one bunker buster, got about 40 to 60, and then they dropped another one to make sure that it got through the clearing, so that way the actual ground would collapse on top of the nuclear facility. So that's how it was done. I don't know if people reported exactly how it was done, but that is essentially what happened. So let's get back to it.
Bravely. I'm not giving up. They're in the oil
Tamir,
business.
thanks for
I mean,
joining.
I could stop it if I wanted.
Michael,
I
thank you
could
for
sell
joining.
China the oil myself. I don't want to do that. They're going to need money to put that country back
John
into
A,
shape.
thank you for
I
joining.
wanna
We love
see
you
that
guys down
happen.
in the UK, down in Scotland,
if
Ireland,
they're going to sell oil, they're
and
gonna sell
England,
oil.
right?
We're not taking over the oil. We could have, you know. I used to say with Iraq, keep the oil. I could say it here too. We could have kept the oil. No, China is going to want to buy oil. They can buy it from us. They can buy it from other people. But you're going to have to put that country back into
Oh
shape.
yeah,
It needs-
we have
desperately needs money.
we have
Yeah.
so much equipment
Yeah, please.
and weapons that we haven't even used yet. So
Here we
like, sorry, I know I'm pausing a lot, right? This will be the last one for a little bit. We have so many different weapon systems that we don't even put out publicly, that are still like classified, top secret. And rarely do we ever, or whenever we go into wars, or we have allies that go into wars, we'll actually give them weapons to see how well they do in actual wartime and actual practicality. So there's a lot that most people haven't seen. Like those bunker busters are, I'd probably say mid-tier of like all the different weapon systems that we have, whether it's man used or like equipment used. So
we go. I'm picking the beauties today. Go ahead.
like I said, I won't
Mr.
pause it as
President,
much from
Secretary
going
General
forward. So
Rutte
I do
has
apologize.
described President Putin as an adversary, a threat, an enemy. Do you view him the same way? And in addition to that, you mentioned General.
Well, I'm glad you guys are
Chief
watching
of
it with
Staff,
me, Tim.
the
I'm glad this is going to be your first
chairman of the
view of
Joint
it.
Chiefs of Staff.
General Kane.
Yes, he has said that Mr. Putin has territorial ambitions beyond Ukraine. Do you view that in the same way?
Possible. I mean, it's possible. I know one thing. He'd like to settle. He'd like to get out of this thing. It's a mess for him. He called the other day. He said, "Can I help you with Iran?" I said, "No, you can help me with Russia." Because, you know, in the last few weeks, we took care of India and Pakistan, Kosovo, Serbia. I think on Friday we have coming in, the Congo is coming in, and Rwanda is coming in. That was a vicious war that went on, a machete war, heads chopped off all over Africa. They're coming in. We did 2 others in addition to that. Nobody's ever done anything like this. No, I consider him a person that's, I think, been misguided. I'm very surprised, actually. I thought we would have had that settled easy. I've settled 4 of them in the meantime. But he did call up, and he said, you know, he's close to Iran. He'd like to help us get a settlement. I said, no, you help me get a settlement with you, with Russia. And I think we're going to be doing that, too. Yeah, please. Go ahead, please.
Jeez, she yelled loud.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've made clear your position on what impact the strikes had. I wanted to ask you what is next with Iran. For instance, is there any indication from U.S. intelligence that Iran was able to move any material, including
No, we just the
uranium?
opposite. We think we hit them so hard and so fast they didn't get to move. And if you knew about that material, it's very hard and very dangerous to move. It's called.
we definitely
it's
appreciate
called,
that, Scott.
In many people, they call it dust, but it's very, very heavy. It's very, very hard to move. And they were way down. You know, they're 30 stories down. They're literally 30, 35 stories down underground.
You think you got it all?
Oh yeah, we think we got. We think it's covered with granite, concrete, and steel.
Can I ask you, are you interested
Yeah,
in
I was gonna say,
restarting negotiations with Iran? And if so, have they reciprocated?
So
Or is
our
this sort of
people,
settled?
Marco could answer this, but our people are not. I'm not.
Oh yeah, people do.
The
They
way
just
I
don't want to
look at
admit
it,
it most of the times.
They fought. The war's done, and you know I could get a statement that they're not going to go nuclear. We're probably going to ask for that, but they're not going to be doing it. But they're not going to be doing it anyway. They've had it. They've had it. Now maybe someday in the future we'll want that. But I've asked Marco, do you want to draw? I just asked him the question as we were walking on the stage. Do you want to draw up a little agreement for them to sign? Because I think we can get them to sign it. I don't think it's necessary. Marco, do you want to talk about that, please?
Well, Mr. President, I think President Trump has shown a willingness to meet and talk to anybody in the world who's interested in peace. I don't know of any president that's been as willing as he has to meet.
I
with
do
anyone
love
and
that,
talk
right?
about peace. We'd love
I
to
will
have
say
peaceful
that.
relations.
I do love the fact that he's willing to talk to literally any leader. And you have to, right? At the end of the day, if you're trying to accomplish something, no matter how much we are on oppositions of an enemy, at some point you're gonna have to sit down with the leader in order to get things resolved. So that's just logical, smart thinking, and especially when it comes to a military sense.
With any country in the world. And so obviously that'll depend on Iran.
Doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, you're going to have to talk to leaders we don't like at some point. Or else we'll never get to a point of achieving a goal or some kind of peace resolution. Yeah, so you have to, yeah.
But you're in no rush. Is that right? Sounds like the door's open. But
I'll tell you what, look, we're going to talk to them.
Yeah, I would be okay with Trump 2028.
We
Look,
may sign.
it's not like it hasn't been done before in the U.S.,
I don't
right?
think it's that necessary. I mean, they had a war, they fought. Now they're going back to their world. I don't care if I have an agreement or not. The only thing we'd be asking for is what we were asking for before about we want no nuclear, but we destroyed the nuclear. In other words,
so that's off the table.
I said Iran will not have nuclear. Well, we blew it up. It's blown up to kingdom come, and so I don't feel very strongly about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. FDR was literally 4 times, right? Or it was 3.5 because he died at his last term. But Tim, so the IAEI said that Iran did have the ability to build nuclear weapons. They just don't believe that they were going in that direction of building a nuclear weapon. I don't know as far as them actually getting there. I don't know if they've gotten there yet. I think they're in the process of doing that now. But they're going through like a whole political legal system that they have to go through, especially since there was military action taken where they're about to go to. So, yeah.
If we got a document, wouldn't be bad. We're going to meet with them, actually. We're going to meet with them. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes. Mr. President, Netherlands TV, thank you for visiting our country.
Good.
As I understood, I, of course, would like to know how you slept last night at the House of the King.
Oh, I slept beautifully.
But probably a more serious question. I think you just had a meeting with President Zelensky. Did you discuss any ceasefire in this Russo-Ukrainian?
No, I wanted to know how he's doing. He was very nice, actually. You know, we had little rough times sometimes. He was couldn't have been nicer. I think he'd like to see an end to this. I do. I think what I took from the meeting couldn't have been nicer, actually. But I took from the meeting that he'd like to see it end. I think it's a great time to end it. I'm going to speak to Vladimir Putin and see if we can get it ended. But look, these are brave people. They're fighting these wars all over the place. You know, last week they had, I guess, I told you, close to 7,000 young soldiers, Russian and Ukrainian soldiers were killed, 7,000 in 1 week. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I'll be speaking to Putin.
I know it's a lot, but that's not even coming
with
close to
Zelensky.
like
And
world
a
war
lot of good
numbers.
meetings,
So.
a lot of good meetings with a lot of people, a lot of great leaders. But he's fighting a brave battle. It's a tough battle. Yeah.
Arthur, so I look. Obviously, we want peace, right? But that's not to say that if someone does something to us, that we won't go to war. At the end of the day, you have the right to defend yourself. So, and everyone thinks. I know they had this whole thing about. Ranga, thanks for joining. I know they had this whole thing about saying that we were doing preemptive strikes in terms of their facility. With us, the U.S., I'm not speaking on Israel, but people forget that Iran has been the number one country that's been funding terrorism. Not just terrorism, but terrorism that directly impacts Americans, American civilians, American military infrastructure. So for us, like, at some point, I know they're just a B as far as, like, we're concerned, but at some point you're gonna have to swat that B to like get it away from you, because at some point one B turns into 10 Bs, and then so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, we did our part, and yeah, of course I'd vote for someone that would defend American interests and the American people. So yeah, 100%. And he didn't put the war, or if we weren't involved in the war, but our actions didn't last 20 years. So. That's another thing. He did it in quick and an efficient way.
Go ahead, white dress.
But I get your point, though. I get why you'd say that
Finland,
from your perspective.
You have played golf with President Alexander Stubb. How do you see Finland as a NATO ally and partner, and how would you describe your relationship with our president?
Well, he's a very good golfer. Okay. In fact, he was on his college.
Yeah, he probably did.
He went to a good college in the South, as you know, a very good college, and he was a good golfer. We had a good time.
See ya. Thanks for joining. I love the UK. I'm actually going to go back at the end of the year. So,
you know, you're very good at icebreakers, and I actually made him an offer. I didn't go to Congress. They'll try and impeach me for this, but there's an old.
Couldn't agree more.
Old, it's fairly new, but it's used icebreaker, and I offered him.
Doris, thanks for joining. Welcome,
one-third
welcome.
of what he asked for. But we're negotiating. We need icebreakers in the U.S., and if we can get some inexpensively, I'd like to do that. Actually, they'll fix it up, make it good. Also, we may buy some icebreakers. You know, you're the king of icebreakers. That particular country, they make them good. They make them really good, and they know what they're doing. And so we're negotiating with them for about 15 different icebreakers. But one of them is available now. It's old, and it's old. It's like 5-6 years old. And we're trying
yeah,
to
Chad, I'd probably say he's up there.
All I do my whole life. That's
as much as I'm not a fan of Clinton personally, him being a Democrat, I think Clinton's administration is pretty decent too.
Yeah, a question for a NewsHour, Dutch TV.
First time we actually paid our debt, right? Or started to pay down our debt.
You spoke about the commitment of the U.S. to Article 5, saying, I'll give you my definition once we're here. Yeah. What is your definition, and may the U.S. commitment to Article 5 change in case some of the NATO members do not reach the threshold?
Yeah, absolutely, right? America first. That's why people always think we're obnoxious, because at the end of the day, we're going to take care of our own first, and if you don't like it, you can kick rocks, right?
Obliterated.
Yeah, well, there are numerous of those reports, and they're coming out fast and furious.
See, I wasn't alive during Reagan, so I would say he's up there as well, just knowing the history and everything, and doing my own research. So, especially having dealt with Russia at that time during the Cold War, so absolutely.
Including people going to the site and checking the site, and they're going to be having, I guess you're going to be having over the next couple of days
for joining.
You're going to encapsulate it. But no, the site was obliterated.
GD
just like
Chad,
I said
thank you for joining.
And just
absolutely,
like
USA, America first, 100%.
As far as Article 5, look, when I came here, because it was something I'm supposed to be doing, but I left here a little bit differently. I said, I watched the heads of these countries get up, and the love and the passion that they showed for their country was unbelievable.
Thanks for joining, Georgia. Lisa, we appreciate it.
They want to protect their country, and they need the United States. And without the United States,
Nick, you're not wrong, right?
I mean, you can ask.
He's fulfilling promises made by other presidents.
The people that were there, it was really moving to see it. They love their country. They were so respectful of me because I'm the head of the United States. And I made, you know, the King of Saudi Arabia, when I was in,
AP,
I was
for
in
joining.
the Middle East. So I was in Qatar for a different reason, not a reason to get shot at. We were in there for economic development reasons, Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. All three leaders of those countries, and we took back $5.1 trillion into the United States. All three leaders said, you know, you're presiding over the hottest country in the world. The United States right now is the hottest country. Everybody wants to be there. Everybody wants a piece of it. He said, a year ago, your country was dead. You had a deadhead running it. You had a country that was dead, and it was dead. You had people pouring through the borders. You had inflation. You had everything.
That may be how you feel about him, but he's done more for America so far than the last president.
The hottest country, just the hottest country in the world. United States.
You may not like him, but at least he's doing something better than what
when I
was.
was around that table, it was a nice group of people, many of whom I knew from previous. When I saw the passion they had for the country, almost everyone
Definitely done more than Biden. I mean, that's not. I don't know if that's
almost every one
a
of them
joke or
said,
not.
thank God for the United States. Without the United States, they couldn't really have NATO. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. It will in the future because now they're paying much more money. But
okay, sure,
it
go for it.
It was great.
They
And I left
monitor
here
everything,
differently.
so it's
I
not
left
like
here
I'm
saying
gonna
that
get in trouble or
these people
anything.
really love their countries. It's not a ripoff, and we're here to help them protect
You forgot
their
to spell
country.
sucks. Sucks is with the U.
Okay, we'll do one or two more.
Not a no.
Thank you, Mr. President. A question on Spain. Are you satisfied with today's...
Oh, I think Spain's terrible what they've done. No, I do. They're the only country that won't pay the full up. They want to stay at 2%. I think it's terrible. And, you know, they're doing very well. The economy is very well. And that economy could be blown right out of the water with something bad happening. You know, Spain is the only country that... Are you from Spain?
Yeah.
Good, congratulations. You're the only country that is not paying. I don't know what the problem is. I think it's too bad. So we'll make it up. You know what we're going to do? We're negotiating with Spain on a trade deal. We're going to make them pay twice as much. And I'm actually serious about that. We're going to make Spain...
It's supposed to be a respectful
I like Spain.
dialogue.
I have so many people from Spain. That it's a great place
What
and
a
they're great
shame.
people. But Spain is the only country out of all of the countries that refuses to pay. And, you know, so they want a little bit of a free ride. But they'll have to pay it back to us on trade because I'm not going to let that happen. It's unfair. It's unfair to NATO. All right, sir, please. Go ahead, right in the back. Yeah, you, tall one. The tall man.
That's fine. And then when Spain needs
President, Johannes
help,
Petra from
because their
Austrian
military
National
is not
Television,
that great,
once said that
who knows?
you
We
would
may
end the Ukraine
walk
war in
away.
24 hours. You later said that sarcastically.
Well, of course it was sarcastic.
But you've now been in office for 5 months and 5 days. Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
Because it's more difficult.
Okay, first and foremost, I don't know where you live, where everything was okay under Biden in terms of economics. But yeah, definitely not in Virginia. Not okay at all. So you must live somewhere where cost of living is cheap and it didn't affect you that much, I guess. But yeah, definitely not in the great state of Virginia.
People would have any idea. Vladimir Putin has been more difficult. Frankly, I had some problems with Zelensky. You may have read about him. And it's been more difficult than other wars. I mean, look, we just ended a war in 12 days that was simmering for 30 years, frankly. We ended...
Yeah, when Biden was president, gas was about $3.75, close to $4 in some parts of Virginia. So, like I said, that was just gas. Eggs and all that. Okay, it's a lot, sure, but I'm from Virginia. I literally get gas every day in Virginia, in Northern Virginia specifically, so whatever.
Rwanda and the Congo, it's coming to sign the documents. We've already signed basic documents, but they're coming, I think, to the White House on Friday. We ended, Serbia was going to go
Lisa,
at it.
thank you. Definitely
But maybe
appreciate
the most
us.
important of all, India and Pakistan. And that wasn't whether or not they may someday have nukes, like we're talking about.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know where this person lived. Where
Israel and Iran. This is, they have nuclear weapons.
You think I'm from China? Okay.
Series of phone calls on trade.
I love chat
if you're gonna go
sometimes.
fighting each other, it was getting very bad. You know how bad that last attack was. It was really bad. If you're going to go fighting each other, we're not doing any trade deal. No. You have to do a trade deal.
I know it wasn't going up because I finished a contract overseas, came back, gas was around $2.50, and then when COVID hit, gas was around $1.98.
From Pakistan was in my office
and then
last week.
Once Biden came in,
Prime Minister
probably
Modi
like
is a
around
great friend of mine. He's a great general.
midway
He's a great
of
man. And I got them to reason. I said, we're not
No,
doing a
end
trade
of-
deal if you're going to fight. And if you're going to fight
end of
each other, we're not doing
2021,
a
gas
trade
was
deal.
about
And you know what?
$4. So
He said,
yeah,
I wanna
no,
do the
not
trade
even
deal. We
close.
stopped the nuclear war. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff. Here's another beauty, Jeff.
Yeah,
He's a
absolutely.
beauty,
Gases
all
are going, or prices are going down all across the board.
Mr. President, to follow up on Ukraine, will the United States contribute any more money to Ukraine's defense this year?
Yeah,
To
exactly.
the $5 billion that allies are giving? And one question, you had another meeting with the Dutch opposition leader, Mr. Wilders. Can you tell us about that meeting? And are you upset about his anti-Muslim stance?
Well, I'm going to go back
not
to
upset
the video
about
and
it. It's
actually
just his view.
pay
He's
attention.
unhappy with the way things are going in this country and various countries. He was an opposition leader, and I was asked to meet with the opposition leader.
If I end up getting
People that are
deported,
running, think they
I
have
know I'll
something
be
to
back
wear.
in the
If you have a
States,
meeting,
so I'll
you're
just file a
supposed to be with
lawsuit,
an
make some
opposition
money,
leader. I
and then
said,
go back supporting
"That's
Trump
strange."
for making me a millionaire. So.
But I met I didn't know him. He seemed like a very nice guy, but he's in
I'm
opposition
joking, I'm
to the
joking,
current
but
people, and
still,
it was set
I-
up by
there
the
would be a
current
lawsuit,
people.
though.
So I assume when I met with the prime minister, you're supposed to meet with the opposition. We'll have to try that sometime in our country. Let's not do it. But he was. I thought he was very good as far as money.
And again,
going.
I'll be a rich person after a
We'll
few
see
weeks.
What happens. There's a lot of spirit. Look, Vladimir Putin really has to end that war. People are dying at levels that
Okay,
people
at
haven't
this
seen
point, you're
before
just
for a
trolling.
long time. Go ahead. Go ahead. White shirt. Oh, she's all excited.
So, BBC News Ukrainian. I would
Where are
like
you
to ask
from?
I'm from Ukraine.
Oh,
So my
wow.
question to you is whether or not the U.S. is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine. We know that Russia has been pounding Ukraine really heavily right now.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Wow.
and-
I can see you very. It's amazing.
And me with the kids, I'm in Warsaw actually, because he wanted me to be.
Is your husband a soldier? No.
He's.
He's there now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's rough stuff, right? That's tough. And you're living here?
In Warsaw.
And you're a reporter.
I am.
Good. So let me just tell you, they do
damn,
want
that must be
to
hard.
have the anti-missile missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available. They're very hard to get. We need
Jack,
them too.
yeah.
We were supplying them to
That was going
Israel.
on here in Virginia as well.
And they're very effective.
You couldn't even go to
100%
public
effective. Hard to
parks in
believe how
Virginia.
effective. And
That's
they
how
do
dumb
want
it
that
was.
more than any other thing, as you probably know. That's a very good question, and I wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you. So say hello to your husband, okay? Thank you. Go ahead.
Or that one chick in the background.
Thank you.
It's killing
Thank
my
you, Mr.
ears.
President.
Sorry.
You were criticizing
Where are you from?
Bloomberg News.
Oh, Bloomberg. That's
You were
wonderful.
you were criticizing the Federal Reserve Chair before coming to this summit.
Yeah, I think he's terrible.
I was wondering if you've begun interviewing different candidates for the Fed pick.
Yeah, I know within
No,
3 or
this
4
was in
people
Virginia,
who are gonna
where
pick.
I'm
I mean,
from.
He goes up pretty soon, fortunately, because I think he's terrible. We have no inflation. We have a tremendous economy. Hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money is pouring in. Factories are being built because they don't want to pay the tariffs, so they're building
Again,
them
we have
all
a
over the
difference of
country.
opinion. I don't think he is,
I think
but
we're close to $15
hey,
trillion.
I'm willing to
I told you
listen
5.1
and
trillion
go
from
from
the
there.
Middle East
So.
alone, but of investment.
But I'd
money
have to
coming in.
hear
There's never been
and see
anything like
evidence
that in
of
the
why
history
you
of our
think he's bad,
country.
not just because you don't
But
like
we
the
have
guy.
no inflation. And we have borrowing because Biden, stupidly, they did short-term debt. So we have borrowing coming up. And, we'll go 10 years, maybe longer, maybe shorter, but we'll go a long period of time when we do the debt. And because of him, because of this guy, we will have to pay for years. We'll be paying for him. And I said to him, listen, there's no inflation. He says, but maybe there'll be some. That's true. I said, if there is some, what you do is raise the rate. I'm okay with that. You raise the rate in 2 years from now, or a year from now. But because the rate's high, we have to pay more for debt. It's pretty equal. In other words, if
All right, here. I think, and look, that is a fair point. I'll give you that. But I will say this, Jude, right? Say you're at a bar, right? And your buddies get into fights. And you're like, nah, bro, I want no part of this. They keep getting into fights. And then someone hits you while you're at that bar. What are you just going to stand there and just take it? Or are you going to actually hit back? Because that's, you're not just going to be a punching bag for someone. So at the end of the day, like, you can only stand by and do nothing for so long, especially when you're being provoked. So yeah, like, sure, he said no wars, but if someone's gonna try and get you involved, whether they're doing it because they're an ally or an enemy, at the end of the day, you're gonna get involved because they've kind of forced you into that position. So
if it's 4%, it's 4%.
Or you could just be a punching bag. So me personally, I'd rather
equal,
not.
Not
But
necessarily, but fairly equal. So we're going to end up paying maybe 2 points or 3 points more. 3 points would be about $900 billion
we got about
a year
8 or
because
9
of
more
this
minutes, so I'll let it run through all the
very
way.
average mentally person. He's an average mentally person. I'd say low in terms of what he does. Low. Low IQ for what he does, okay? Wait, so instead of paying $900 billion, we don't want to pay 900 just because he doesn't want to lower the rate. I said, if there's inflation in 2 years or 3 years or 1 year from now, you raise the rate and you take care of the inflation, among other things. But he's probably a very political guy, I guess. I don't know. I think he's a very stupid person, actually. All right, one more. Let's go. How about you? Go ahead. She looks so happy and everything.
Thank you.
So
I'm from Spain, too. I'm Ana Buc from La Vanguardia. I wanted to know if...
You're where from?
Spain, too. I wanted to know if you want to...
That's the Spain corner right there. Shouldn't have said that. That's okay. I do like Spain, by the way. I think it's unfair that they're not paying, but go ahead.
Are you going to negotiate directly with Spain about...
I'm going to negotiate directly with Spain. I'm going to do it myself. They're going to pay. They'll pay more money this way. You should tell them to go back and pay. You're a reporter.
So instead of paying the 5%, he's going to come back and they're going to get 10%.
All of those countries that are paying 5%.
Oh, that's funny.
Spain's going to be just about the only one that's not. They were the most hostile toward doing it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, all right, Kelly, go ahead. Here we go. Here's another one.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much.
We got them all today.
Okay. So, Mr. President, you talked about expecting some on-the-ground assessments at Fordo and other sites.
No,
Is that
Which you have to have, yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's been obliterated, Kelly. It's been
What is your message then, sir, to the intelligence community when they present reports? You're not disputing the DIA report. You're just...
They presented a report that wasn't finished. We're talking about something that took place 3 days ago.
I understand that's
the report was done 2 days ago. Wait a minute.
Yes.
They didn't see it. All they can do is take a guess. Now, if you
Yeah,
take
exactly.
a look at
It's
the
like
pictures, if you take
you
a
have
look
to
at
actually
what's
be
all
able
black,
to
you know, the fire
visually
and brimstone
inspect.
is all underground because it's granite and it's all underground. You don't show it. But even there,
Or if you've got
all of
like
that being said, the whole
penetrating
area for 75 yards
visual
around,
imagery,
the
then
whole
but
way
80
is
meters
black
down, it's
with
very
fire.
difficult to do.
The group that's run by this gentleman, in fact, you may want to talk about it for a second because we're going to issue a report. And I think it's not even a very exciting report at this point. It's been obliterated, totally obliterated. And they did a report, but it was like, if you look at the dates, it's just a few days after it
Understood,
happened.
sir.
So they didn't see it. They said it may be very severe.
Understood. Do you have a message for the intelligence community, though, in terms
Mr.
of
Hegseth,
unvarnished
it's the
information
same.
getting to you, that it's not...
I don't really have a message. I would say
I lied.
Issue the report when you know what happened. I wouldn't say that it could be severe or maybe not. They use the word severe. It could be severe or maybe it's not. So people like you picked up and said, oh, it's not severe. No, the report was not a complete report. Yeah, the message was probably wait till you know the answer before you...
And sir, did you not have a public component
Kathy,
to your
I
Zelensky
apologize.
meeting for a tactical reason?
Some people
with
like the
President-
commentary, so
Hello, Mr. Secretary.
can't please everyone.
There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is. These pilots, these refuelers, these fighters, these air defenders, the skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people and the world to take out a nuclear program is beyond what anyone in this audience can fathom. And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times is to try to find a way.
Katsuri, thank you. I appreciate it. I figured more people would like commentary than not. So
President Trump or our country. They don't care what the troops think. They don't care what the world thinks. They want to spin it to try to make him look bad based on a leak. Of course, we've all seen plenty of leakers. And what do leakers do? They have agendas. And what do? Do they share the whole information or just the part that they want to introduce? And when they introduce that preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment, you know what a low assessment means? Low confidence in the data in that report. And why is there low confidence? Because all of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12 30,000-pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated. So if you want to make an assessment of what
the only way you
happened
make a
at
country
Fordo,
better
you
is
better
through
get a big
dialogue.
shovel and go really deep, because Iran's nuclear program is obliterated. And somebody somewhere is trying to leak something to
regardless
say,
of your political affiliation,
with low
right?
confidence, we think maybe it's moderate. Those that dropped the bombs precisely in the right place.
Back, I think so. I think the entire facilities are destroyed.
And you know who else knows? Iran. That's why they came to the table right away, because their nuclear capabilities have been set back beyond what they thought were possible because of the courage of a commander-in-chief who led our troops, despite what the fake news wants to say.
But you're not disputing the report said what it said, even though it was initial.
The report said what it said, and it was fine. It was severe, they think, but they had no idea. They shouldn't have issued a report until they did, but we've gotten the information. I think Pete said it better than you can say it. And, you know, you should be proud, you, especially you.
Yeah, like I said, I think the cave-ins and the collapse of
those pilots flew
the upper levels would make it impossible, right?
Let me just tell you, you and NBC fake news, which is one of the worst, and CNN, and New York Times,
love it.
are all bad. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. But you know what? You should be praising those people instead of trying to find some. By getting me, by trying to go and get me, you're hurting those people. They were devastated. You know, I got a call from Missouri, great state, that I won 3 times by a lot. And I got a call that the pilots and the people on the plane were devastated because they were trying to minimize the attack. And they all said it was hit. But we don't think it was really maybe hit that badly. And they were devastated. They put their lives on the line, and then they have... And I'm not referring to you, but real scum come out and write reports that are as negative as they could possibly be. It should be the opposite. You should make them heroes and heroines.
Probably with normal ballistic missiles, but not with bunker busters. They're specifically designed to destroy underground facilities.
It was perfect. It was dead on.
And they did drop 2 separate bombs to get to that lower level of the facilities.
Fly very big, very fast planes. But it's a shame. You should be making them heroes. All right, in the back. Go ahead, back, White.
And yes, obviously it's not the whole mountain, but certain levels of the layers of ground collapse on one another.
From Sky News. Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and
I love it. She's breaking the ice, right?
He did very affectionate. He daddy.
That's
daddy.
yeah, that's funny.
Your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children, and they're obviously listening to you, and they're spending more. And you're
guys. I was not expecting that.
But do you hope that actually they're going to be able to defend themselves, defend Europe on their own?
I think they need help a little bit at the beginning, and I think they'll be able to. And I think they're going to remember this day. And this was a big day for NATO. You know, this was a very big day. They took it. One of the gentlemen said, you know what? We've been trying to raise money raise the rate for 30 years, he said, 20 years, from almost the beginning.
Yeah,
And
no,
he's been there for
they're
a long time. He said until you came along, it never happened.
they're set to
52 is
detonate
amazing. It's been sort
after
of
a
an
certain
amazing
depth
day.
level,
For a lot of reasons, but also for that.
which
Yeah,
is
go
why
ahead.
there's only a like if you looked at the images. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to cut. But if you looked at the images of the actual site where the bunker buster was dropped, it's literally just a straight hole, right? It's not any damage on the upper surface, but all the damage was down to the lower impact of the ground, and then it explodes from there. And once that first one exploded, they put another bunker buster essentially through that same hole. I think it was about a couple meters off, but that lower level was already destroyed, and that second one was supposed to do another 40 meters of structural damage. So yeah, it pierces. That's exactly, yeah, it pierces. But then when it gets to a certain level, it explodes. It's not just pierce a little bit and then blows up. It's pierced to a certain depth and then it explodes. And then that's why they had to do a second one to get to that last 40 meters, because it was a total of like 80 meters underground. So
In the future, can they do it with?
Well, ask Mark. I mean, you have to ask Mark. Okay. So we're heading back. I want to thank these two gentlemen behind me. They're incredible people, both of them. They've done a fantastic job. And Susie's in the front, and she's done great. And Monica, thank you very much. That was quite an exciting time. And we're going to be heading back. We'll be back soon, and we'll see you in Washington, D.C. Remember this, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
yeah, so and I want to make sure I got this right for you guys. I just looked it up just in case. Bunker busters are designed to explode at a specific depth underground after penetrating hardened targets like bunkers and tunnels. They achieve this through specialized features. First one being penetration power, using kinetic energy in hardening cases. Number 2, delayed detonation, specialized fuses, delayed fuse, smart fuses, targeting delivery, precision guidance, targeting deep buried structures, and multiple bomb attacks. So like I said, it goes through a certain level of depth, and then it explodes. But on that note, guys, I definitely really appreciate you guys watching, joining, commenting, liking, subscribing. Really means a lot. And going forward, and I'll put this on my actual channel, but going forward, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, we'll be streaming from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then also at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of this because I think I like talking about politics, and I like getting people's different opinions and perspectives and having good dialogue. And I literally watch these videos anyways on my own time, so I figured why not do it and stream them, right? So, and get with a whole new community that we talk and think about. So different, whether it's political or talk about international, domestic, whatnot. So again, thank you for watching, guys. You guys have a good night. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys on Friday.